AI is all the talk at the moment, but one of the terms that gets thrown around a lot is AI agents. But what does that actually mean, and how can you start using an AI agent? Now, let's start with what we're already familiar with. I'm sure you've already used things like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and other AI chatbots, let's call them. Now, believe it or not, these are all AI agents, more on the conversational end of the spectrum, but at the end of the day, they are an AI agent. Now, this is where agents really come into play. The large language model on their own isn't particularly useful to us. They're trained on specific data, and you can then ask it questions about that data, but as soon as you ask something out of that realm, it becomes particularly unhelpful. You might actually remember a few years ago on some of the earlier GPT models, you'd ask ChatGPT a question about a historical event that happened very recently, and it just wouldn't know. And it would say it only had information up to, I don't know, some date in 2022. And that is one of the flaws of a large language model, is they are only as accurate as their training data. But this is where integrating them with an AI agent interface can sort of unlock a much wider realm. Now, one of those parts that makes an AI agent is tool access or content retrievers. So this means having access to things like web search, being able to go and find that information and get up-to-date results, or maybe make an API request to get up-to-date information. Another common thing is MCP, or Model Context Protocol, which is basically a standard for allowing large language models to be able to interact with different systems. With all of these tools and content retrievers, this has allowed large language models to actually get up-to-date information that isn't necessarily based on just their training data. Now, if MCP servers are a new concept to you, don't throw it. We've actually got a video that you can find here, so if you want to learn a little bit more, check that out and then come back here. Now, AI agents don't just have access to these external tools and external systems, they also have personas. Now, it depends on what you want your AI agent to do. Now, that could be maybe customer service, it might be writing code, whatever it may be, you can set up the persona so your AI agent will do the things particularly for that persona. For example, it allows it to learn a particular communication style, which is, again, useful for that customer support angle. But it also can learn the boundaries of what it should do and what it shouldn't do. So this means you can say, these are the sort of things you should do. As soon as a request comes in that is out of the scope of those boundaries, then maybe a human should do it. And it learns where it can be helpful and where it can't be helpful. To go along with that, AI agents also have memory, both long-term and short-term memory. So this can be useful where you're having a conversation. Again, let's go back to that ChatGPT example. When you ask it follow-up questions, it already knows what you asked it earlier. You don't have to re-explain that context. So this allows a much more natural conversation. And this can be especially useful where you might be asking it data over a period of time. Now, long-term memory can be useful for creating a historical map of what's gone on. I'm going to use an example more related to fitness, where you might be asking for a fitness plan and you might give ChatGPT or one of these AI agents your weight, maybe a fitness score or something, and it can remember that so that when you ask it follow-up questions about your fitness, it already knows that context. Another example might be an animal. You might ask it about symptoms, and as a result, it already knows the context of how old the animal might be or what breed. So as a result, and maybe any pre-existing things that have happened. It has all that context, so you don't have to re-explain it, and it can take that into consideration while it is figuring out how to come to a decision. Now, the last thing that makes up an AI agent is, you guessed it, the large language model itself. Now, the large language model is quite a key part of it, but it does evolve around the rest of all these things we've just mentioned. They are the brain of the AI agent. They are the ones processing everything and deciding what decisions should be made. So with the brain, also having access to tools and content retrievers, memory to be able to remember what's going on and being able to reuse that context, as well as the personas so it knows what type of communication style it should use and what the boundaries are. All of this together creates an AI agent. Now let's break down what ChatGPT has to make it an AI agent. Now, we've got 4 different things, right? We've got the large language model. In this case, that would be like GPT-5. Now, GPT-5 on its own isn't super useful. So ChatGPT, the interface, gives us the access to a memory. So now it will remember that context. We've got that. Nowadays as well, there's access to tools. There's things like deep research. It has access to be able to search the web. And in some contexts, it can even run code in the context of using it with like GitHub Copilot. And then there's personas, where if you're using it in a workflow scenario, you can provide it with a system prompt where you can basically tell it how it's going to interact before it gets any prompts from users. So it knows what it's doing, how it should respond, the communication style it's going to use. And so all of that combined is how ChatGPT is not just a large language model. It is an AI agent built on top of the large language model that is GPT-5 or other models available. Now, I've only given you one example of what an AI agent is, which in this case is those chatbots that a lot of people have interacted with. But I want to show you another example of where an AI agent might be used and where this AI can be used in non-agent ways. So let's have a look at that. We're here with GitHub Copilot. Now, I've got it running here in VS Code, and I've not really used this much, but I think this is a really good example of where agents can take this a step further. Now, if we make this a little bit bigger, you'll see here in the chat box on the right-hand side, I've got this little drop down for the mode I want to use. Now, there are 3 modes for Copilot: Ask, Edit, and Agent. Now, what Ask does is you're just asking it questions and it will give you some answers. It's not going to do anything for you, but it is going to help you with whatever you ask it. Now, Edit will take that a step further. You can ask it a question about a particular file and it can go in and edit bits of that. But again, still quite limited. Or you can go full agent mode, where Agent mode will have full access to this project. It will understand how all the files interact with one another. So here I could say, I want to be able to set up, a new structure to my repository. And the agent mode here could go away and completely redo that. Whereas the ask mode could just advise me, and edit can only do things sort of one at a time in individual files. It doesn't have that full project context, which I'm only using a Python example here, which as you can see has only got one file, but let's say you're using a JavaScript app, which has loads of different files, maybe lots of different components if you're using React. Agent mode understands what components already exist, what ones don't exist, and then can make suggestions on new additions or edits you could make. Now, another example is actually in workflows. You can build automated workflows with Kestra that use an AI agent. Now, this can be particularly useful because instead of having to decide the steps of your workflow, like if this happens, then do this, the AI agent can figure out what to do based on the input provided. Now, in this example, we've got a market research agent where we want it to go away and find information about our competitors. Now, the thing that's really nice about this is I'm giving it a few different tools to do this. Now, I'm giving it a provider, which is the large language model. In this case, I'm giving it access to Gemini 2.5 Flash. And then if we scroll down past our prompt, I'm giving it a content retriever, which in this case is a web search tool. So it can go away, search the web, but I'm not telling it what it should search. It's going to make the decision on how to search based on what prompts I give it. So this is where an AI agent can come in particularly handy in the context of a workflow. Here's another example of some of the tools, for example, you can do with Kestra's workflows. You can have it execute code, which is again something that GitHub Copilot can do in VS Code. You can have it run things for you automatically based on your consent. You can have it write files. You can have it run workflows in this context, run web searches, and so many other things as well. And then the other nice thing is you can also decide which providers you want to use. So in this workflow, we've actually got 2 separate AI agents. Now, we could specify these to use different providers. So one's using Gemini, one using ChatGPT, for example. This can be particularly useful if you've got an example where you're doing one part of the workflow, which is more code heavy, and you want to use a model that maybe is a better suit for that use case. But then maybe you're doing something more creatively later, such as trying to draft an email, and you might prefer to use a different model. That is the beauty of AI agents, is the large language model can be changed out for different large language models. Every model has its strengths and weaknesses, and it's definitely worth learning which one is best suited for your scenario. There's a reason that people use ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude, all in conjunction because some are just better for some tasks than others. Another example in the Kestra context is being able to use memory. We've got access to be able to put it as a key value pair in the key value store or using Redis. So in summary, AI agents aren't just large language models. They include things such as tools, being able to access external systems or make web searches, memory for being able to remember key bits of context, and personas for being able to understand the communication style and how this AI agent should interact in the context it is in. All of this combined allows us to create an AI agent suited for our scenario so we can get the best experience. Hopefully you found this video useful and you're going to start building with AI agents. Let me know in the comments below how you're using AI agents. I'd love to hear as this world is expanding and growing rapidly.